to show my mom bod in this video and I can't get the angle right, and that's really upsetting me. But I think I have a pretty good mom bod right now. Are you kidding? I've never had boobs and hips this big in my life, and I kind of just want to show it off. I feel like some people are gonna get so fucking annoyed at that. As soon as I sat down to film, the people below me started using their subwoofer and my whole butt is being vibrated, so I think I'm gonna go downstairs and thank them for the free butt massage. I'm able to film this video right now because my son is taking a nap, and I really should be filming a video for my other channel, which if you aren't subscribed, it's linked down below. It requires me to do research that I don't have time to do, so I'm gonna try and do it later. I'm gonna be filming all about my C-section because I would have liked to watch a video like this. The night before my C-section, I went on YouTube and I was trying to find videos about people talking about having a C-section because I wanted to know what it was like, every single detail. I didn't want anything skipped. I wanted to know everything. I decided that I'm gonna give you all the boring details about having a C-section because I know that there are some other people that want to know that. I'm here to do that for you. I'm here to give you guys the video that I really wanted that I didn't have. This is probably going to be boring to people who already had C-sections and knows what happens, or who just don't care. Obviously. Long story short, I had a scheduled C-section because my son was measuring big from the very beginning. There are some risks with having a big baby. Obviously, you can push a big baby out of your vajayjay. My mom did it. My mom had really big babies. She pushed a almost 10-pound baby out of her vajayjay with no pain medicine. Nothing, like just boop, right out. You can obviously do it. But for me, there are other options and I chose to go with the other option. My son's head was measuring really big and I was really concerned that it was going to get lodged, it was going to get stuck, that they were going to have to vacuum him out, which leaves big bruises on their heads, and there was a risk of his shoulders being fractured when he came out, which does have, I don't know the exact percentage of people that experience this after, but if your baby's shoulders get fractured, it can affect them later in life. Those are just some of the risks that I wanted to avoid. I have heard a lot of stories of people having really big babies and then them having to do interventions. I didn't want my birth to be traumatic for my son. I know he won't remember anything, but I'm sorry, I do care about what my baby experiences, even if when he's 30 he doesn't remember what, you know, it felt like today, you know? I still didn't want his entrance into this world to be traumatic. I wanted to avoid that as much as possible. I had a lot of extra ultrasounds during my pregnancy because they were nervous about his size. They weren't sure if I even had my due date right, which I did. But like I had ultrasound techs tell me good luck after I left the visit because my son was so big. Everybody just acted like, whoa, your son is big. And there was one girl who said that she feels sorry for first-time moms that have really big babies, and all that stuff is getting in my head, and I'm like, okay, everybody's really concerned about this. I should be too. A C-section was not forced on me. My doctor was amazing. I loved her. I would recommend her to anybody. She was so chill, very calm, and she was awesome. No complaints. The nurse that always worked with her was absolutely amazing. But some of the other ultrasound techs did kind of scare me. I don't think that was their intention. Sometimes you just don't think before you speak. Hi, Luna. The risk of having him through my vajayjay, which was my original birth plan, was not worth it. If you're unaware, having an unplanned C-section versus a planned C-section is a completely different experience, because if you have tried to push a baby out and it has been unsuccessful and you have to go into a C-section, you've exhausted yourself for God only knows how many hours. There's going to be all these other things you're having to recover from versus just having a planned C-section and then you're recovering from the C-section. Do not let anything I'm saying sway you one way or the other. I'm just telling you everything like it is, and you know, it's obviously an individual woman's choice how she wants to give birth and what she thinks is worth it. This is just my personal experience. This video is about a planned C-section, not an unplanned C-section, which I've heard is a completely different experience. I scheduled it. They gave me these forms that I had to sign, and obviously the worst thing on the form is that you could die during it, but I mean, that's most likely not gonna happen. But it's a consent form with all of these possible things that could go wrong. Just like any surgical procedure that you have, you're gonna have to sign one of those things. And then there was a bunch of things that they told me that I couldn't do, like I couldn't wear jewelry. I had my septum pierced, obviously. I had to take that out. Could not use any like products, no lotions, no hairsprays, like any product that you use in your hair, on your body, could not use it. I couldn't wear any makeup, which if you guys saw my get ready with me while I put on my makeup that I wear while giving birth, can't do that with a planned C-section. I look horrible with no makeup on. In my personal opinion, I'm terrifying. So I was like, great, that's how my son's gonna meet me for the first time. Wonderful. I had to move back further out of frame because my son's right here, he woke up. So one of the things that I didn't realize was they have you do all of that stuff, and then after you do all of that, they give you this, it's like its own special surgical body wash. I had no idea that was a thing, and you're supposed to wash your body all over with that in the shower the morning before your surgery. Sometimes I guess they have you do it the night before. First of all, the night before, I could not sleep to save my life. I was so excited and so nervous for the C-section. The whole day he was born was just a blur because everything that happened, I was drugged up from painkillers and things that they give you from the C-section, which is optional. You don't have to take them. I did not want to feel pain, so I took it. He's staring at me in the mirror, I'm sorry. You can't eat after a certain time, which I think that's like a given with the surgery. I don't remember what time it was, but there was a certain time where I was not allowed to eat. So I was hungry. Oh, and you also can't drink water. And when you're pregnant, you're super thirsty. So that night, not being able to drink any water was so hard. Oh my God, I was so thirsty. My husband, he was like, I'm not gonna eat or drink anything either because I feel bad. And I'm like, no, like we need one of us at the very least to be not malnourished and starving of thirst and hunger day of my surgery. Otherwise, we're both gonna have lost our minds when he's born. We need you to at least be at your best. So when we got to the hospital, number one, it was like a maze. We got lost, we were late. We had to get there at 5 a.m. They take us into the waiting room, like where we wait for the surgery. And that's where they sent me into the bathroom and I took off my remainder jewelry because I didn't realize I had to take my septum out because I had the mask on. So I had to take my septum out. I had to take my clothes off. I put scrubs on, and then that is when I got into the bed. They put a monitor thing over my belly for the baby. I got an IV, and actually they poked me on one side and couldn't get a vein, probably because I was freaking dehydrated because I couldn't drink any water. And then they ended up getting a vein in the other hand. I will say, I've heard that the IV hurts worse than the epidural. I didn't have an epidural, but I had a spinal, which I'll get into in a minute. I don't think it hurt worse than the spinal. I think it was just a different type of pain. Like IVs, they hurt. IVs are not comfortable. It's not something that I'm gonna be like, hey, I wanna go get an IV every day, you know?
You just spit up on me.
It's been an unbelievable amount of time later. Anyway, so I waited around in that room and it went by so fast. When I originally went into the room to have the surgery, my husband couldn't come with me. When you first go in there and you get the spinal, they're not allowed to be in there. I don't know why, because it would have been great to have him there. They wheel me in that room. Now, this was what was great, and I hope that the person that does your spinal for your C-section is as great as the one was for me. But he came into the waiting room area that I was originally in, where I was like waiting for the surgery. He came in there and stood at the end of my bed, and he told me step by step everything that was gonna happen. There was absolutely no surprises, which I really appreciated. Now, I will say this, if you've never been in a surgery room, that was really intimidating. Like when they first took me in there, and I'm saying they wheeled me in there, they did not wheel me in there. I walked in there. I don't know why I keep saying wheeled. I guess because I was wheeled everywhere else for so long, that's all I could think about. There was a lot of nurses. There was the nurse that I was used to that I knew from all my appointments, and then a bunch that I had never met before, and then the man that was administrating the spinal. When you first walk in there, it's really scary. It's also very cold in the room that you go into because they have to keep it that way. I'm looking up at like the light things that they have over the surgery bed thing that you lay on, and everything is really intimidating in there. Like it's really scary looking if you've never been in that room. Like I'm not even gonna almost lie. I felt like I was abducted by aliens and they were like putting chips inside my body. I was scared. I was shaking, not just because it was cold, but because I was nervous, and I couldn't even form words to communicate with the people that were in there because I was so scared, and I didn't have my husband there who's my comfort, and I was just extremely nervous. They sit me down on the thing, and he takes the back of my, like opens the back of my gown and starts putting the numbing stuff on me. The nurse that I was used to was so nice. She was trying to comfort me through the whole thing. She's like, I can hold your hand if you want. She also brought this really warm blanket over to me and like laid it over me right here. I wouldn't say that the IV was more uncomfortable than the spinal. What I would say is it's two completely different feelings. The spinal is a very very irritating, uncomfortable feeling. It's not so much that it hurts really bad, but it's like grind your teeth, feeling like nails on a chalkboard, but in your spine, or like rubbing your fingers on squeaky styrofoam, but like in your spine. It just was irritating and I hated it. If I have another baby, I'm not looking forward to that. I didn't like the feeling, but it's not that it hurt. It was just a cringy, uncomfortable, if I could go the rest of my life without feeling something in my spine like that, like I would totally do it. The good news is that it is really fast. You're being comforted the whole time by the nurses. It's over like that. And it immediately made my whole body go numb. And the nurses were like hanging on to me, and everybody just immediately took me like I was like a Thanksgiving meal, and like turned my body over and plopped me on the bed, because it kicks in so fast that your body immediately goes numb and you cannot move, so they have to lay you down. That was a really weird sensation. Like if you're not prepared for how quickly your body is gonna go numb, it could probably make you pass out. Like I could see very easily how somebody could pass out during that process, just because like it doesn't feel natural. Like when you can't feel your whole body, it doesn't feel right. Ironically, you can't feel anything. It feels like something's wrong because you can't feel anything. I felt weird instantly. I don't know what they put through the IV, if they put something that makes you calm or what, but I instantly felt like I was on some sort of drugs. Like it was really weird. I couldn't feel my body, and then I felt like I was drugged up. I'm laying on this thing and they're trying to talk to me, and I'm just kind of like zoning out like a weirdo because I like just felt so strange. They put the thing that separates you from being able to see the actual surgery, and then that is when they brought in my husband. So then my husband was brought over to me. He was terrified. Like his leg was like bouncing up and down. He's like about to meet his son for the first time, and then he's with me that he's known for over a decade, and I'm about to have my first surgery with him right there, and he's so aware that I'm like being cut open. I don't know what would have been worse, to be in his position or to be in my position. After they do all that, and actually I think this may have been before my husband came in, the man that administrated the spinal, the anesthesiologist I think is what he's called, took something sharp and put it on my shoulder and asked me if I could feel it, and I could. And then he took it down where they were going to be performing the surgery, and I guess he was poking me with it, asking me if I could feel it, and I was like, I can't feel anything. Then my husband comes in. Then my doctor comes in to perform the surgery. Now your C-section can last anywhere from 45 minutes to an hour. I don't know how long mine lasted, because once my son was born, we were just staring at him and it was all I could focus on. Do not worry about the actual surgery if you are scared to have a C-section. I was terrified. I've never had a surgery before in my life. The idea of being like cut open, like while you're right there, like wide awake, is scary, but don't let that initial fear before you get in there like rob you from the excitement of the fact that you're about to meet your son. Let yourself be excited about this wonderful, amazing thing that is about to happen. You're not gonna feel anything as long as everything goes right, which most of them do. I didn't feel anything except when they were pulling him out. I could feel that the thing that I was on was like shaking while they were pulling him out. And as soon as I stopped feeling that, I could hear him crying. He like immediately started crying. It was so amazing, because I heard that sometimes it could be up to a minute before they cry, which is terrifying, but he cried so fast. They pulled the little thing down so that I could see him. And I think that the worst part about the C-section to me, to be honest with you, I didn't get to see it, and they wouldn't let my husband film it. I really, really wanted it to be filmed. I wanted to watch me be cut open and him be retrieved. I wanted to see it so bad. Not while it was happening, but I wanted to watch it after. But they wouldn't let us do it, and they wouldn't let us take pictures of the actual surgery, unfortunately. But there were some really nice nurses in there that took my husband's phone. So we did get some pictures of us after he was born, which I'm really thankful for those photos. So he was born 9 pounds, 8 ounces, and he was super chunky. Oh my God, he was so chunky, but the cutest baby. I might be biased, but I'm pretty sure my son is like the cutest baby in the world. The only mistake I had made was that everything was so chaotic that I forgot to tell them that I wanted them to put him on me as soon as he was born. So that is something that I didn't get to experience immediately, which I'm really bummed about. But my husband did get to hold him while I was being sewn up and everything. So I try to look at it like that he got to experience carrying him for the first time, because it was me for 9 months. And so it is kind of nice that it was my husband. And now if your significant other is there, they still will let you cut the umbilical cord. Everything else at this point for me was such a blur on this day. They took us out of there, put us in a recovery room. We weren't in there for very long. That was whenever they laid my son on me and we did skin to skin. He immediately started rooting. So they were like, oh, he's ready to eat. So they helped me get him latched, and he immediately latched. I'm really thankful for, because I know that a lot of people do struggle with that. So I feel like I was prepared that we would struggle, but me and him have been like a great team since the beginning. So that's something that I'm really glad about, because I did do a video about my birth story because it was really traumatic. He ended up getting taken to the NICU, and I do have that video that I will link up there if you guys want to go and watch it. It'll also be down below my description if you haven't seen it. The first day was amazing because he got to be with us, but it was also a blurry day. The thing that I thought was crazy was they have you walk like that day. I mean, they obviously ask you if you feel like you can, and I was on painkillers, so I was like, this is great. Like, I want to do this 50 more times. Like, cut me up every second, every hour of the day. Hours of my surgery, I was already walking up and down the hall. The nurse said that I walked further than most people do, and I was like, I'm feeling great, man. Like, did I just have a surgery? I don't think so. But then once the pain meds started to wear off, I started to get a little dizzy. Oh, and I forgot to mention this as well, that when I was in the process of the spinal before it wore off, I was shaking all over the place, and they can give you something for that if you need it. That is one of the side effects of the spinal, is that it can make you really shaky. So I was shaking like really bad. I rejected the thing that they could give me for the shakes because it would make me sleepy, and I was already really sleepy. So I was like, I'll just take the shakes because I want to be able to focus on this as much as possible and not be tired. Now you're numb for a while, like at least a couple hours, and you gradually start to feel things again, obviously because I was walking up and down the hallway. But they do put these like pressure things on your legs that basically works like a blood pressure, like when they do blood pressure on your arm. It's like that they put on your legs, and it's basically to keep the blood flow going so that you don't get any blood clots and things like that. One thing that I didn't realize they still did with the C-section, after you have a baby, they push on your stomach. Like, some of the nurses push harder than others, and it is excruciating. I hated it. When the nurses would come in and be like, you're not the one that's gonna push on my stomach, are you? Because you never knew when they were gonna come in and start pushing on it. After you have a C-section, you feel like when they're pushing on your stomach that everything's gonna pop out the incision. But anyways, the first day was great. Now, the second day and the third day, not only did my son get taken to the NICU, which you can check that out in another video. So not only was I bawling the entire time, an absolute mess, my worst nightmare, I was also starting to feel the pain. They took my catheter out, so I was having to get up and walk to the bathroom. And let me tell you guys this, please have babies with someone that you're in love with and feel fully comfortable with. Because having a baby with somebody that you're not comfortable with, or that you're not like really close to, you'll get to know each other really quick after that. I'm very thankful that I'm married to somebody that I'm fully comfortable. I mean, I had him shaving my hoodle doodle for me the whole time because I couldn't see anything anymore down there. So he was having to do all that, which by the way, he could do that as a job. Like, he did a great shave. But he had to help me do everything, literally everything. He had to help me use the bathroom. He had to help me walk to the bathroom. Postpartum body is a lot, and that first shower was awful. And I wish I had like a chair or a seat or something, or taken the painkillers that they give you in there, something, because that first shower, I think I was just on ibuprofen when I went in the shower, thinking that I could do it. I did it without any help, and I wish I would have taken some help because it was horrible. I don't even think I cleaned myself very good in there because I felt like everything was gonna fall out on the floor, and I was shaking really bad. I was feeling a lot of pain because I didn't take the pain medicine. Also, in your first shower, you take the gauze stuff off of the incision. So the tape and like the gauze, you pull that off. Told me, they said, let it get wet first because it comes off easier. So I did that, but what it did when it got under the water was like the gauze stuff had gotten really heavy because it filled up with water. So then the tape was being pulled by the weight of this gauze. And so I'm shaking, trying to pull this gauze and tape off of my incision, not knowing what I'm gonna see, like fully aware I just had a surgery. Now I'm pulling this off. Like, is everything gonna fall out all over the floor? Oh God, I think back on that and I just am like, can I do that again? Like, not, I can do the C-section again. I could do that. But can I do the first shower again? And I felt so gross. I felt so smelly. Like I had all these like surgery smells on me. And then you're also bleeding everywhere, not from the incision, but from your hoodle doodle. Even if you have a C-section, you're still having postpartum bleeding, and I bled for weeks. So I'm bleeding everywhere and everything just smells weird, and my body doesn't look like mine because right after you have your baby, it's just weird. And I wanted nothing more but to get as clean as possible, but I was hurting so bad that I just did everything as quickly as I could, and it was the most half-assed miserable shower of my life. Now, the first bathroom experience for me, I don't even really remember it. I had stool softeners and everything was fine. So overall, I think the worst part about a C-section was the shower, hands down. I was also being wheeled in a wheelchair back and forth from the NICU. I was having to get out of my bed, go to the bathroom, get in the wheelchair, get out of the wheelchair to sit in the chair to breastfeed my son, get back out of that chair in the wheelchair, back in the room, back in the bed, and like all that up and down was awful. We got discharged before I was fully healed. So we live in the second floor of a 3rd-story apartment complex, and I was having to walk upstairs with this C-section that I had just had, and that was extremely painful. The next day I wasn't able to go back that morning because all of the walking up and down the stairs, I was in so much pain. My husband went back that morning and came to get me in the afternoon so that I could rest and hopefully, you know, not be in so much pain when I had to go back, because it was really painful. Now, the good news is that after the 3rd day, it does start to get better. So you just got to get past the 2nd and 3rd day, and then everything does gradually get better. I will say this, it's been over 6 weeks and I do still get random pains in my incision. I'm about to have my 6-week checkup. It's next week for her to check the incision and everything, which to me, it looks fine. I haven't really had any issues except this numbness that's about this high, like this much of my skin above the incision is numb on the skin. If you just rub your finger over the skin right there, I cannot feel it at all. It's like my nerves there are severed or something. I don't feel anything. So that's definitely a concern that I have. If anybody else has experienced that after having a C-section, let me know. I also will say this, I hope you have like a firm bed, because my bed was really soft. So when we got back from the hospital, I was really missing that hospital bed that you can push up and down. I couldn't get myself propped up enough with the pillows that I had. Make sure you have a ton of pillows and the most comfortable body pillow, because you're gonna still want that body pillow after a C-section, and you're gonna need something to help push you up, because whenever I had to go to the bathroom and stuff like that, I was having to wake my husband up to help me get out of bed. And we have a softer mattress, so I felt like my body was just stuck into it, and it was really hard to get out of bed. It was hard to get out of bed for a while, actually. I'm very thankful I can move like a normal person now. I hope I didn't leave anything out, but I've been trying to film this video for hours because my son woke up and obviously there was a lot of things I had to do for him and I couldn't film while I was doing it. And then my cats started howling because they wanted treats and everything's just loud. And then I also have to clean up because I'm trying to get my living room clean because we're having visitors tomorrow and it's a little celebration for her birthday. So I need to blow up some balloons and do all that before my son wakes up. So I'm gonna go ahead and head out. Let me know what your guys' C-section experience was like. If you had one, did I leave anything out? If I did, comment it below, because if somebody wants to be prepared for a C-section, give them all the information down there that they're possibly gonna need that I didn't give them in this video, because there's just not enough that's super informative about like every little detail to expect. So hopefully I hit everything. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and I will be seeing you guys soon for another video.